All right, so this is our bonus episode. It's probably the second last bonus episode of the season. Then we take a much needed break. This week we're going to be talking about centrists, or people in the middle, or liberals, for lack of a better term. People who think being liberal is left, and who think liberal is left, or Antifa's gone too far. That's who we're talking about. I'm going to set the clock. 25 minutes. Hang on, let me open up the clock, and then we'll do 25 minutes of. I've got to find this clock. Where is it? Where's my clock? Where's my clock? Yeah. I just saw it, and now I can't find it. All right, so I'm gonna find the clock. This is good. Okay, should have been prepared. All right, I'm starting the clock. You ready? You ready, B?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. 25 minutes. Here we go. So so you and I were talking. We were going to talk about Luke Cage and how did you like Luke Cage? Let's just get this out of the way. Did you enjoy Luke Cage?
Get out of the way. I enjoyed season 2 of Luke Cage. Yeah. I'm a little jealous that Jamaicans always have the cooler villains. And, Haitians or villains barely speak English or barely speak, but that's
I love Bushmaster. I thought he was a fucking awesome
Bushmaster.
Yeah, I thought he was amazing. The uncle was a good actor, but that accent was just. I couldn't. I was just like, oh, every time. It was just, that Jamaican accent is just bad.
That's hilarious. To me, it's just another English accent.
Yeah. Or if they had like someone that had only a couple of lines and they had the Jamaican, I was just like, just get a Jamaican. Just get a Jamaican that can't act. I'd rather that. But other than that, I really loved the season. I thought it was great. Bush.
Hey, you know what's wild? Your reaction. Some people felt the same way about Black Panther and Wakanda. Like somebody, this shit ain't authentic. What the fuck?
Yeah.
This tribe would not be talking like that, whatever, or would not have that dialect. And I didn't care. But
you know why Luke Cage got a pass for me? Because the story had depth. Like that character's accent was terrible.
Yes.
But it had the character had layers. It was a 3-dimensional character. So it was like it wasn't, to me. It wasn't just like a stereotypical. It was a good character. The accent wasn't that great, but the character was amazing. So I was like, I can go through with this. This is fine.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so we both enjoyed it. I liked it better than season 1. Yeah. I'll be honest.
I would say that too. It gave me an appreciation for the superhero, and I kind of like the ending. The ending's kind of
my favorite episode has to be the Heroes for Hire episode with Iron Fist. That was they did it properly. They did Iron Fist properly, and it was a great episode. And I loved it. So you and I we're in the midst of centrists now. So those of you that don't know a centrist, it's usually a liberal or someone right in the middle. If you look at horseshoe theory, which has, extreme right, like Nazis and white nationalists on one end, and the extreme left where you have, like, I guess communists and you have, like, Antifa on the other, in the middle of that is a centrist. Well, just off to the side because they're closer to white nationalists. And centrists usually are the ones that, like, are begging for civility. They're usually like, but what about the marketplace of ideas? They love using that term, the marketplace of ideas. And they're always begging the left to see the other side. Like when Trump got elected, they were the ones that were like, they were the liberals who were like, you have to, we need to reach across the aisle to get Trump supporters. We need to do blah, 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 blah. The right never gives a fuck about liberals. They troll liberals all the time. They don't give a shit. They don't give a fuck about the left. But the centrists are always like, but we have to understand. Because usually, whatever. But to
add to your intro, I just want to say, one, I have to say what I appreciate about the podcast is I had to look up centrism. The Wikipedia entry in there is called centrism. So it defines something that I've known, just didn't know that there was a word for it. And two, the other thing I appreciate about the podcast is that's the point. We're not telling you how to think. You do your own research. If you're going to clap back with anything, do your research and let us know if we were wrong with anything else. I appreciate the fact that I learned something new, and this is what this conversation is pretty much going to be about. The concept of centrism and like, for example, people who say shit like I don't care about politics. you're
you
centrist.
you can't say I don't care about politics in a day and age where a new Supreme Court justice in the states, granted, can take away women's rights to abortion. Right? Like you can't say I don't care about politics when they're locking children up. You can't say I don't care about politics when someone like Doug Ford gets elected. When the right is using identity politics and a cultural war to win elections. You can't say I don't care about politics because it's not a fair fight. The middle is horseshit because politics isn't about reaching across an understanding. Politics is about winning. That's what politics is about. It's about winning. And here's the problem with the centrists. They're in the horseshoe theory of the right and the left. The centrist isn't closer to the right. They're closer to neo-Nazis. They're closer to that. They don't know that.
They don't realize
but
that.
I was reading an article I was telling you before we started recording about how a lot of Americans who hate a lot of centrists or liberals hate white nationalists, but they share similar views. They don't realize that. They share a lot of similar views because a centrist wants status quo. A centrist wants things to stay the same, and they want people to shut the fuck up about it. Like stop using racism. Stop using racism. They don't understand that they're doing the work of the white nationalists. The white nationalists knows how stupid they are. They know that they can manipulate these people. They're like, stop using the word racism. You're watering it down. It's like, no, I don't think so. And so they, or you know what I mean? In case of like something like Pride Parade, when they don't want the cops involved, they'll be like, "Oh, this is disgusting. How can you not put the cops?" Well, Pride was started by a black trans woman standing up to the cops who was harassed by the cops. And I was looking at a video online last night about recuperation. With regards to the Pride Parade, how the Pride Parade, because at some point in the 90s, when they are trying to make, they put out like false statistics about how gays have the most disposable income. It isn't true. That isn't a true statistic. There's a lot of gay people who don't have a lot of money who are suffering. But there was an image of Ellen coming out of the closet, and it was a lot of white gays. And so companies started investing into Pride Parade, and it made it almost corporate. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong, but it took out the activism part, or it downplays the activism part of Pride. So that's why you get people going, why are they fucking upset about cops marching? It's like, well, no, that's what Pride's about. It's just that it's been recuperated, and this is the problem with Hillary Clinton doing the exact same thing. It's recuperating an actual movement of women, and just watering it down to an image or identity politics, as the right likes to use identity politics, but it's not identity politics. But I don't know. It's centrism. Centrism is going to be the death of us all. Like a Nazi, I know where a Nazi stands. A centrist has no idea what. Like, I got into an argument with a dude about the marketplace of free ideas. It's a horseshit concept. It just doesn't exist. It's like you're using capitalism on ideas. It's a marketplace. Because ideas you can't buy, sell, you can't invest in. Ideas they're just concepts. But the idea of the marketplace of ideas is like, if you look at marketplaces, you're saying like a neo-Nazi with his speech, and I don't know, say you're talking about abortion rights or gay marriage and the rights of gays to marry, and you're saying these two ideas have the same weight in the marketplace of ideas. And what's going to happen is, the good idea will win out. But even in you saying that, it's garbage, right? Like, because first of all, in the marketplace of ideas, a good, bad, useful, interesting, whatever, smart, it's all subjective. The only way to determine an idea's weight is based on popularity or attention. It's how much attention you can get. And we saw with Trump election that Trump manipulated the marketplace of ideas by using attention. That's what happened. So the marketplace of ideas is garbage. It's a garbage concept. That's from Peter Coffin, by the way, on YouTube. Peter Coffin. He's got great videos about that stuff. You check it out. Sorry, B, go ahead.
It's interesting, no, because you say it's garbage, but to the Trump and who figured out how to get it to work in their benefit. It's genius. It's wonderful what's at place. Now I'm gonna go back to something earlier you were saying. You cannot be oblivious to politics or not care about politics. But the people who tell you that, who would disagree with you, what they don't realize is by saying that you've already picked a side. It's like trying to be around time of during when slavery was a thing, was actually existed, and you say I'm a centrist.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there were people like that. It's like I'm not going to take a side. I'm going to stand out. If you don't take a side, you've taken a side.
Hey, could you imagine the Facebook post that would have existed during slavery? Nothing wrong. Everything's perfect. Like we here, I know, years later, 200 years later, go, wow, how could people subjugate other human beings to slavery? They'd be like, what's the problem?
It was like, it's like, but you got to listen to their ideas of slavery. They might have, I'm just saying, I don't want to be closed-minded.
And it's wild the time that we're living in, because we talked, like I mentioned earlier about there was a debate on what's that show called on CBC? Current. It was on the Current, and it was a conversation about how Sarah Huckabee got kicked out of that restaurant, and I forget the names. I looked it up, but there was one lady who was like, "No, we need to continue to be disruptive to people like that." And the other lady was talking about how, was she from Missouri? Whatever. But she was saying shit like, no, because it's going to affect our vote.
Was she a white lady?
She looked at it.
Yeah. And the argument is if liberals act up, then we're going to look bad and we're not going to win over Trump supporters. We're going to look bad. Yeah. This is like a popularity contest. We're not winning over Trump supporters. They're done.
Right.
Yeah, winning over anyone that agrees with Trump. They're not fucking coming. Like, just fucking let them go.
Trump knows what he's doing. We're at this point. He knows what he's doing. When he talks shit, when he says ridiculous things, he knows his base is like,
it's not just the states, right? Like this is a phenomenon that's happening right now. It's not just America. It's happening here. You shouldn't. Here's the thing: is like people accept violence because Trump's going to be able to have a Supreme Court pick, and they're saying that he could take away.
That's scary.
He can take away abortion rights for women. That's violence against women, right? That's violence against women. Locking up children is violence against children. Police brutality is violence against people of color. And we accept violence from the top down, but as soon as violence comes up, as soon as these people start yelling at people at Mexican restaurants, all of a sudden we're having a debate. How should we stop this? As soon as violence comes from the bottom up, people have a fucking problem with it. But they don't have a problem with violence on the top down. They'll defend violence from the top down.
That's that happened to poor Maxine Waters. So she advocated we got to be disruptive to these neo-Nazis, and a bunch of liberals, centrists. That's the word. It was a popular word this week. Liberal centrists said, "Oh no, wait, don't be saying shit like that." Yeah, we're gonna tell a 79-year-old woman, we're gonna dictate to her civility what's right and what's wrong. She survived. She was 25 when the Civil Rights Act.
It's all in the past, right? Like we're living in a time where fucking people don't remember shit. Remember when Obama came into power and they blamed him for all Trump's problems? Well, look what he did to the economy in the last 2 months. He's been in for 2 months, and look at the economy. And he's like, no one remembers that what Bush left them, right? Like the attention span doesn't last a fucking week with these people. I was reading something about. Somebody on Twitter found all these articles from Germany during the neo-Nazis when they were up on the uprising. I think it was in 1938 or something. And the articles were basically saying how Jews should be more civil to Nazis. It was the same arguments as you see now. It's we need to be more civil to Nazis to understand their point of view and just give them a fair shake. Do we live in a authoritarian? Do people love authoritarianism? I feel like there's like when we see people like calling the police on children or like that woman at the pool and stuff. I feel like if you're a white person who benefits from white privilege, you kind of lean towards especially like upper middle class or middle class people lean to authoritarianism pretty quickly. It upholds the status quo, which they benefit from, and they lean on authoritarianism because they know it doesn't really affect them. And I think I think it goes back to what you're saying is like, oh, I don't care about politics or I'm not into politics.
Yeah. I remember earlier on, so I hate referencing my brother again, but when I say him, I mean him as people like him. So he used to hang out with the Alex Jones folks and whatnot, right? And this is when Obama was president. So to them, they were advocating a lot of, we might have to pick up arms. We don't like the way things are going. And I remember feeling like, guys, take it easy. You need to learn to value social order. Like social order is a beautiful thing. Don't take it for granted. Let's not go to war because your football team didn't win. Yeah. Some frivolous shit. Now that the tables are turned, we're separating parents from their kids.
Yeah, but what are they going to war for? Like that's, you got to be more specific. Like, what are they going to war for?
That's what I'm getting at. And here's I guess I'm trying to say sometimes you do have to fight. I guess that's what I'm trying to get at. There are times you do have to fight.
I'm just wondering, like, what were they going to war for?
9/11 was a conspiracy.
Yeah, like they're not going to war for anything. Everything's abstract.
Obama wants to take all my weapons.
It's all abstract shit that's not going to happen. Like it's just not going to happen. Right. Obama's a neoliberalist. He's going to be conservative as you want him to be. None of this shit's going to happen. Right. It's all abstract shit. We're talking about real shit here. Like we're talking about a reporter, a newsroom getting shot up. Because Trump was saying how the media is our enemy.
Right.
Like it's not abstract shit. This is really happening.
That shit actually happened. Yes. Yeah. Milo, what's his face? I can't pronounce
Yiannopoulos.
Yiannopoulos. Yeah. Did you know he was on record saying, "Hey, look, we should attack journalists"?
Couple of days ago.
Couple of days. Okay, so you did. Okay, yeah. And then boom.
Right. That's what I'm saying is like a 9/11 conspiracy. Trump. I mean Obama. It's all conspiracy. There's no like. Oh, you know what? Women need abortion rights. It's It's nothing. It's me. Conspiracy. And even in this day and age, they own, like in America, they have the Senate. They have the House of Representatives and they have the presidency, and they're still victims. There's still Jordan Peterson is complaining about freedom of speech while being on every fucking network in the world,
right?
and suing a university for defamation. Like it's like pick one.
Yeah. This says a lot. I think at some point psychology is gonna have to. We're gonna have to get a psychiatrist on this show to explain how. Yeah, that's how we are. Because there's a sense of disillusion about reality, or I have my own concept of reality, and I figured out who my enemies are and who. Like what you're saying is from. I've taken a step back and I'm looking at the political field and centrists, the right, the left, but these guys are on this. It's as if their motto is whatever the left says, I'm against it.
Well, I just posted an article about how, when Trump got elected, and I'm sure it's the same thing with Doug Ford. I'm sure it's like everyone was like, oh, it's economic anxiety. And I remember like thinking like, how come it's only white people's economic anxiety that we're worried about? And it's an old racist rhetoric, right? And then they came out with a New York Times published this, that they did a study about how it's not economic anxiety, it's racial anxiety. They're worried about losing power. And it's like, that's really what it all boils down to. It all boils down to some sort of status quo, some sort of culture war, some status quo being lost and them feeling victimized. And so they hide behind, they'll even lie about, like you give an article about something. Like I remember posting, someone was talking about the wage gap between women and men, and they did the StatsCan did a whole thing about how real it is and how ethnic women and brown women deal with it more than white women, but the white women still deal with it. And these people are telling me no, and they're posting Jordan Peterson videos. I'm like, this is StatsCan, and the guy's like, oh, that's just a left wing think tank. I'm like, no, it's StatsCan. These are statistics they've taken from companies. It's not a left wing think tank.
These guys would have not made it. I mean, if you had that mindset while you were in school, you would have never.
Yeah, but like, really, do they want to learn something, or they just want to justify their position, to justify how they feel?
Yeah, to justify how they feel.
I would admire them more if they said, "Yeah, I'm a racist. Yeah, I'm a sexist."
You know
I would
what I mean?
admire them
agree.
more. I would have more.
I agree.
I would. They have these feelings that they don't know what to do with. The centrists are the fucking worst, man. We need anyone in the middle of anything. How shitty are they? How shitty is Macklemore's gotten better, but fucking any kind of I don't know. I like rap that doesn't sound violent. You know those. Fucking hate them. Vanilla motherfuckers. Anyone in the middle, you just can't make a goddamn decision. That's your problem. I don't
know. but it's also when shit is comfortable. What it says about human, shit is comfortable. You're living comfortably, but your neighbor's starving.
I
ain't gonna make that my problem. I mean, I'm gonna mind my own business.
They're fucking worst. Just the worst.
Okay. Hey, look. Fuck, I forgot to add. Okay, so did you see Doug Ford's Ford's
all
cabinet?
White people. You sent that article.
Holy shit! I said it made me think that white people got their province.
Hey, you know what? No one's gonna say shit about it. Fucking, the supporters are still gonna support him. Well, no, it's not racist. Maybe they're the best people for the job.
No, but for them, this is normal. Yeah, we're back to the way shit was when I grew up. Shut up, black people. Shut up.
You know what, B? Going when you were saying how people say I'm not into politics. You know who frustrates me more than white people who say that is people of color, minorities who say they're not into politics. Those people annoy the fuck out of me. Those people that keep letting a pass go for people just to keep their head down and just I hope when they come round people up, those are the first that get rounded up. I hope they're the first ones to get rounded up.
Bro, so I have a joke about that. So I'm kind of glad Facebook didn't exist during slavery because I would hate to find out
imagine?
My ancestors were one of the people who said, no, you know what? No, we don't need to revolt. No, slavery thing's not bad. You just gotta get used to it.
I like how you think slaves would have fucking Wi-Fi in the first place.
You know what I mean?
They got phones and Wi-Fi and shit? Oh, no fucking way. Slavery.
Well, the corporation said, "Hey, look, go for it." I'm trying to just because Verizon makes more money. I know. Hey, give each one of your slaves a phone so you can keep a. I know. Yeah, I know. That's
they wouldn't have. They wouldn't. Yeah, but you're right. Just finding out which one of your relatives are like, come on, guys. Come on.
It's not that bad. Just get used to it. Jesus Christ.
Did you see that woman on Fox? She was like, I've heard a lot of black people say those internment camps are better than some ghettos. And it was like, motherfucker.
Oh, wow.
Also.
Who was I telling that to? Yeah, man. I joked about, I could see myself telling that to a white chick that those internment camps are better than the hood I grew up in. Because I didn't grow up in a hood, and maybe she's into, and I figure she's into bad boys, so I'm trying to convince her that.
It's better than the hood I grew up in. And it's like, you mean Unionville? Yeah, man.
Exactly.
Unionville Market.
There are hoods in Ottawa? Yeah.
My favorite is, it's not that bad. You don't have it that, when I posted that thing about, the wage gap, some dude's like, well, it's only 2%. I'm like, just imagine you made 2% than someone that you're doing the same job for. It's only 2%.
Right.
That was his.
Right.
It's only 2%. Yeah, but it's still less money, dummy. It's still less money for the same job. Like, I'm sorry. Why don't you take the 2% less? I'm not taking the 2% less.
It comes down to, I remember the first time I heard the saying, lead, follow, or get the fuck out the way. Well, it was actually lead, follow, or get out the way. But it ties to what you're saying about centrists. you're gonna have to, either be a leader or a follower. And I don't mean follower in a bad way. Like, pick a cause, find a cause to join. Because if you stay in the middle, you're just allowing.
If you're in an interracial relationship, and you're a white person, okay, let's do it like this: you're a white person, a white male. You better be on some black activism shit. And if you're if you're a black female with a white dude, I don't know what activism you got to do with, maybe class, I guess. But again, the black woman, just keep doing what you're doing. If you're a black man with a white woman, you better be on some feminist shit. You better be doing something for women. And if you're a white woman, you better be on some black shit. There needs to be you need to be in some intersectionality protesting or intersectionality activism. There's no reason not to be an activist in this day and age. Something, anything, but get the voice out. Say something. Do something.
Yes.
Even us doing this podcast is something.
It is something. It's contributing to the conversation. We're open to people to disagree. But don't be an idiot. Don't be like, I'm just gonna regurgitate some opinion that I read on Breitbart, some shit like that. Like, contribute to the idea, expand.
Don't be upset because you don't understand concepts. Like, if you don't understand, no one's trying to be smarter than you. They just understand something. Don't be upset because you don't understand concepts. Maybe if you don't understand something, listen or go do some research on it. See if it's true or not. No one's asking you to just regurgitate shit. Just like you said in the beginning of the podcast.
Yes.
Go and do some research and find out what that's about. Don't just be like, well, fuck it. You think you're smarter or what you're saying is bullshit and I disagree. It's like, no, just go do some research on it. All right, we hit 25.
Yeah.
We hit 25.
We hit 25. I already mentioned lead, follow, or get out the way. That's my only last word.
That's the best. Yeah, fucking centrist, man. The vanilla ice cream of politics. That's what they are. Can't make up their goddamn mind.
See, you know what? I feel like maybe I'm being a centrist because you said, we should round them up. And I'm like, whoa,
why don't we round them up? What I'm saying is, like, when they come get us, when they're taking away rights, I don't want to hear these motherfuckers talking about, blah, 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 blah. Because here's my last point. It's like, they have this idea of they have this idea that Nazis are like fair like them, are liberal like them, right? Like they know they're bad, but they everyone works on the same way I work, right? And it's like, no, some dude who was a Nazi, I forget his name, but he was even saying is the problem with the liberals, they think we're liberal. They think Nazis will do anything and everything to get what. Like, look how they faked attacks during the Black Panther movie. They don't give a fuck. They're not working on this level playing field that you believe exists.
Yeah. I went to see the movie and a bunch of black guys jumped me because they said no monkeys allowed.
They're not playing on a level playing field. They know you are. And they'll fuck with you on that. They know you are believe in the marketplace of ideas. You think a Nazi really believes in freedom of speech? Do you honestly believe that? Because the whole point of a Nazi or white nationalist is to take away people's freedom of speech. It's to take away people's freedom. And this is the problem with freedom of speech. You have freedom of speech up until your freedom bumps up against somebody else's. And Nazis are like, no, I want to get people out of the country. No, they will volunteer to leave. No, what you're going to do is, kidnap them or kill them or do whatever Nazis do. But centrists are like, no, we have to treat them like it's like, no, you fucking morons. They lose all rights to humanity once you pledge allegiance to all that kind of shit.
I meant to add, get the listeners thinking about how the world would look like if no one was into politics. The politics would have a field day.
Sorry, I don't mean it's not me topic. It's that you stop using identity politics because all politics are identity. You vote based on your identity. I know there's different meetings and people have different ideas on it, but every political thing is identity. You vote based on what affects you and your identity, whether that be black, white, gay, or your economic status. You could be rich or poor. That's your identity. There's an identity in that.
Yeah. Who you identify?
Yeah, who's your tribe? But it's not wrong. It can be because neoliberalism has used it to to just be like to be a superficial thing. Same with neoconservatism has used it as a superficial thing. It's been co-opted, but it's still the original identity politics goes back to the 70s and black trans women or black gay women who were like, fuck it, we got to fight the system for people who are marginalized. And that's the one I'm going with on identity politics. All right, so I think we did it.